Good morning. Am I hearing me okay? Yeah, thank you very much. Very delighted to be here. It's not my usual context. I appreciate that. My role is to sort of talk to you about the new European Bauhaus and I suppose how Ireland sees it and fits with it. I think it is of great relevance to the conversation you've already had this morning. I just want to leave you with a few ideas about it. It's very much, I suppose, in its infancy in Ireland, but I think it's something that will grow exponentially next year with a bit of luck. I'm touching, but I'm not getting anything. Sorry. I'm going to get her. Oops. Yeah, no, I did that. It's there you go. Got it. Yeah. Pardon me.
There you go.
Yeah, very good. Thanks very much. So, what is the new European Bauhaus? Well, it's very much seen as Ursula von der Leyen's, I suppose, brainchild. It was her hope for Europe. Of course, events at a European level changed dramatically with Ukraine war and that. But this was her inspirational project for her presidency. And it really is about considering what we have been doing to date as not really delivering what we want in terms of climate change action. And now is the time to rethink our approaches and how we work. That's a fundamental of it. And then within all of that, there are you probably have heard, sustainable, the beautiful, and the together bit. And people sort of kind of thought, okay, this sounds so flowery, and how can I possibly be part of this? And I'm very struck coming today to talk about the new European Bauhaus in the context of what happened last night in Dublin City. I was actually in there. I think I'm still a bit shook from it. But really, this is the point of the new European Bauhaus. It is about having more of community conversations. It is more about engagement with nature. It is about giving people better living outcomes and hope and well-being, cohesion. This is what's at its heart. So I just want to talk you through some of the material that the new European Bauhaus had developed. It started in 2019 as a sort of a co-design process. It was described initially as an initiative. It then became a movement. And at the moment, there is a kind of a hiatus in the sense that we're very much considering it as a mission and a horizontal mission under Horizon Europe, so that it is cross-cutting across all the established missions at the moment, which I think is a really insightful vision for it. So it's an environmental, economic and cultural project, and it combines design, sustainability, accessibility, affordability and investment to help deliver the European Green Deal. And the idea of trying to change or make a new culture so that people can see where they fit into this renovation wave or this change that we have to make in our built environment is what this is about. And the images you have there of the sustainable, beautiful, and together is their corporate logo, and it sort of explains sustainable is in harmony with nature and our planet. Together is connecting disciplines, cultures, genders, and ages. Beautiful is the quality of experience inspired by art and culture. And really, what the new European Bauhaus is saying is that if we actually work at quality and engagement with people, we actually will ultimately arrive with an aesthetic or a beauty for people to live with. Okay. On the top right of this slide is, I'm sorry, it's small, but basically this is a downloadable information sheet from the new European Bauhaus website that you can all readily access. And the top right there describes a number of projects that are ongoing. There's sort of lighthouse projects that were considered at the outset as being sort of priorities for Europe. So for instance, the Scandinavians are very much looking at growing timber, using timber and trying to innovate it for sustainable construction. The Mediterranean countries are working together to look at food production, climate change on the landscape, and how that can be made more sustainable. You're all aware of fires and the problem of monocultures, etc. Bottom right is the European Compass, and this was sort of developed after the co-design phase. And basically, it's a way or a framework for which you might actually apply it to any kind of project. It could be a design of a landscape, it could be design of a building, it could be design of a process of engagement, like with your greenway. And it's available on the NEB website, and it will probably very much become part of European funding on the new European Bauhaus. There are a few things I just want to point out to you. That New European Bauhaus is made very accessible, and you can engage with it very easily and read into it. There's a lot of material in it. I've certainly learned an awful lot about it. And I suppose how I came to be the national contact point for Ireland was during COVID, I was part of a writing team, which is the OMC working group that you mentioned I should talk to you about. And that was the development of the first European architectural policy. Okay, so many member states had their own architectural policy, but this was the first time that there was a European one, very much to support this idea of climate change action in Europe and trying to bring people together to focus on what really is our key objective. So the new European Bauhaus was introduced at the same time, and I can say that as a result of the OMC work on the European architectural policy, that we are now aligned with the new European Bauhaus to actually implement the European architectural policy with the new European Bauhaus and how they can benefit each other. This is the new European Bauhaus dashboard, and it's very interesting in that it shows you the along the left-hand side, the sort of projects that are taking place, people who are involved in them, and it's possible that you can participate in these as an observer or actually become a partner. There's different ways of engaging with the New European Bauhaus. As I say, you can be a friend or a partner of the New European Bauhaus. A partner is somebody who is not a profit-making organization, and the idea is that a friend would be sort of a local authority status organization, so that there is a networking of local interests and expertise developing. So I encourage you to have a look at this. There's a progress report on the new European Bauhaus and what they've achieved to date. And within that, there is what Ireland has done to date. We participated in the first New European Bauhaus Festival in 2022. We brought our architectural policy, which was launched in 21, to the festival. This was seen as in a very positive light because it was the first architectural policy in Europe after the European architectural policy was launched itself. We also have a state art network, or state architect network, and Kieran O'Connor, who's the chair of our National Policy in Architecture, represented Ireland on that. And really importantly, we have a number of students working on the new European Bauhaus in colleges. And I suppose this is really the piece that is starting to fall into place, and how they are engaging with the new European Bauhaus is really important to its, I suppose, translation and dissemination. On the right-hand side, these are the projects that have been achieved by the new European Bauhaus to date. So we have the Lighthouse projects, which are big partnerships. The festival is a very interesting program of events that will take place again in Brussels next year. The way the new European Bauhaus has been working is that it has participated in other funding programs. It doesn't have its own direct funding, and that's been quite a deliberate decision, because its purpose was to influence practice and outcomes, so that you would get better multidisciplinary practice, co-design, community engagement. So I suppose the mission was to try and change practice. Interestingly, Heritage has taken a very much an interest in it, and that probably explains my role in all of this to many people. Heritage, we understand from lockdown, was one of the ways that people actually sustained and kept themselves going, and that was both built and natural heritage. And you could really see in the New European Bauhaus prizes, which is also an annual event, that a lot of projects coming from 22, 23 very much responded to that urban situation where people felt disadvantaged and impoverished living in cities because they had no amenity and no recreation spaces. And it was raised here this morning, how do you go back and retrofit these urban centres? So there's projects there that you can reference, which I think will be really useful to you. But the New European Bauhaus also looks at bigger things like the rebuilding of Ukraine. There's a lot of work going on there. There's the Academy, which is focusing this year on traditional skills, which is something that we're very interested in, because obviously to do the heavy lift of renovation and retrofit of existing buildings, we really need skilled practitioners to understand what they're doing. But also there's a nature part to that we need to be using sustainable materials. I'll go back to my conversation about timber and its uses, but also other natural building materials. And this idea of the circular economy, so that everything is interlinked in an ecosystem. Bauhaus in the Woods is as I said, the Nordic focus, and they're very much going forward in terms of their work in innovating in timber and construction. This was a wonderful achievement, and it really will benefit the dissemination of the New European Bauhaus. This was the Ballina Ripple project, and I know you're going to go into that later, but it's so important, and I think it was a very sensible or a very pragmatic choice of looking at the situation of retrofitting a sort of suburban area that was kind of a no place really, and really using it to educate children about their place and how to enhance it, and the long-term benefit of that engagement. So I think it's a super project, and really this idea that we must leave our familiar paths and change our perspective. That's really it's how you want to apply it, but it's a much more holistic idea about implementing projects rather than sort of silo-based thinking. So I just wanted to point out a few different things to you. I selected a few projects that have come through the New European Bauhaus prizes. This is one from Latvia. This was the winner. I think it was 23. Sorry, the thing has covered it out. But a very much a project that came from the COVID lockdown, and this idea of bringing children into a garden and reconnecting with nature. There's a lot more information on all of these projects on the New European Bauhaus website, and you can engage with that fully. But a very straightforward but lovely project, and how they did the educational thing as you're doing on the Greenway is so important. This one was, I thought, super interesting in that this was a park in the town where there was not this idea of sort of retrofitting a park and enhancing the experience for people. So this is a sort of a whole sensory journey of being able to walk through a landscape, experience different things, young and old, and hugely popular. So it's certainly worth visiting, but you can sort of see that, all the different textures and the seasons, etc., are all, people are encouraged to be participating in nature in the middle of a very dense urban centre. This one sort of spoke to me about some of the issues that, very hard landscape cities might have. And this was all about educating people about you know, the fluctuation in temperatures in the city, and how nature can assist with moderating that. So it's really how to say, a very important engagement with people, that they can sort of see the benefits of trees and planting and nature having a cooling effect and also a regulating effect, and they can see firsthand what is happening in their city and how they can be part of a process of trying to change that urban environment. And today, coming to UCD, I'm always so appreciative of the work of Nicola and how they're thinking about urban landscapes. And I don't know if any of you travel the same way as I did, but you know, there was talk about retrofitting the schools, connecting to the schools to the landscape. And Nicola have very much rolled out this wonderful sort of corridor of planting of pavements that lead to the school, which has just been a transformative experience for children walking to schools in the area. This one is sort of, you know, nearer to my heart in the sense that it sort of shows the opportunity of built heritage, and how built heritage and natural heritage very much can go hand in hand. And this is a sort of an underutilized institutional complex in Lithuania, but it was then transformed with multidisciplinary design, landscape architects with architects, to create this unusual art installation, but that also was somewhere for people to come and create a new hub in the city centre. I think it's a very positive, powerful, weaving a whole lot of different aspects together, and you can sort of see the benefit of both the creative, using existing natural resources and built heritage resources together is a really powerful tool. I just wanted to focus on this. There was some mention of education and how important that getting them young. That's a core concept of the New European Bauhaus, and they have produced this education for climate guidance for teachers to use in schools. And I just wanted to draw your attention to it. The New European Bauhaus, at the outset of its movement, has very much focused on education at all levels and bringing people to the conversation much more quickly. And absolutely, if we get the kids, they teach the parents, and the rest, it goes on from there. Absolutely. So just to sort of give you a few ideas of other ways of thinking about it, this project was of interest because it kind of started to help me think about what we might do here at home in Ireland. And as you know, we have very substantial natural parks and landscapes, and we also have this idea of the layering of the landscape, of the cultural landscape and archaeology and the like through it. So this is the Dutch looking at bogs, but also using the natural landscape to bring people to archaeological sites. So this was a Europa Nostra winner, and it's one that you can look for online and read up about, but a really interesting diverse project, and hugely popular with the community that has benefited from it. And when we started the conversation about the national policy on architecture, we included what we called a conversation about the New European Bauhaus. And we are very fortunate in Ireland to have Grafton architects who are cultural ambassadors for architecture. We also have Orla Murphy, who is the New European Bauhaus ambassador for Ireland, and she sits at the high table of the New European Bauhaus European team, which is you know, coordinating the work of the New European Bauhaus and driving it on. So Orla, we asked these people to sort of create a conversation with the wider architectural design community. And I just wanted to sort of establish what we sort of thought at the outset of all of that. So Ola's comment was, imagine towns that work together within regional clusters to share food, water, transport and energy resources. that are designed to be resilient and to embrace a circular economy, built on evidence-based research and connected to local knowledge. And we really kind of, you know, are still working with this idea, and hopefully it's something that we're going to bring the new European Bauhaus into the sort of town centre first policy, which was introduced last year. Yvonne Farrell considered the earth as the client, considered the unique context of Ireland and Europe as an island in the Atlantic surrounded by water, with settlements founded. A new European Bauhaus conversation about water. She spoke of how the issue of water and its management needs to become a priority for future sustainability. As part of this conversation, individuals' responsibility to climate change was stressed. Yvonne highlighted interconnection of expertise and creativity as a way forward. The new European Bauhaus brings new possibilities and has the potential for architecture to imagine beyond the provision of essential infrastructure through the design of something beautiful and sustainable as well as functional. And that's really why I raised the paving design coming here today. It's more than just being functional. It has many other jobs to do. And in this slide here, this was a project that Yvonne brought our attention to in Copenhagen. This is a power station, but they just didn't design a power station. They designed a municipal park and also a ski slope. So this is a building that does many jobs and really participates and contributes to the city itself. My goodness, sorry. I was at the World Conference. A very strong theme in Copenhagen is about letting nature be part of our daily life. That's the point out. Everything that we do from here on has to have that idea of the built environment and how it impacts on the natural environment and how it helps and enhances one or the other. So just to give you a few projects that I consider have walked the talk or delivering the new European Bauhaus principles of beautiful, sustainable together. The IAF, which is the Irish Architectural Foundation, have been working away on working with communities and engaging with communities and sort of, you know, getting from them what they actually need. So as you know, the Just Transition Fund in Ireland has been applied to the Midlands, and it's about working with people whose life had been working in the bogs, in the power stations. So this is the workers' village, and you know what is going to happen to that community when their original source of work has changed, and what way are they going to imagine their future. So that was the workers' village. It was the first piece. It participated in the new European Bauhaus Festival in Brussels. And now this year they're starting the next project, which with the support of the community, which is about creating a tourism project, which is the Bothy project, which is sort of akin to the Netherlands project, which is about exploring your bogland landscape, but also creating these bijou Bothy projects that people can traverse and enjoy the bog. So a really sort of positive project. It's in development at the moment. It's just been funded. So what that's great. I want to talk about sort of an initial idea with our national parks. I worked with Mark Ritchie, who's the coordinator of several projects. So where they started originally as built heritage projects, we really wanted to embed the new European Bauhaus into the overall thinking. So rather than just repair a building and put it back, we decided that we would use the buildings to actually help talk about the enhancement of biodiversity, talk about rejuvenation of buildings in a sensitive way that would recognize nature, would use sustainable materials and sustainable construction. So a series of projects took place. The first one was a church. The church had a community of bats, and that's always a big problem for conservation projects. And what do you do? And sometimes the bats don't had to be encouraged to move on, whatever. But in this case, this church was decided to be so isolated, and the bats so important. The church and the bats were to be kept together. So that brought us to the conversation then of how you were going to repair this roof without disturbing the population. So the whole design was about putting back and weathering this church in the landscape in Killarney, but retaining the bats there. So obviously the appropriate materials, the treatment of the roof space, breathable membranes that we would put into roofs were snagging the bats' feet. So all of these things were considered, and working very closely with the local community. A wonderful project has been delivered. You can sort of see an image of it underway, but it's now complete. Similarly, there was a large building that was vacant to the park, and it was considered as an opportunity to demonstrate how a historic building could be repaired, extended sustainably, and the use of sustainable heat resources used. So the original design is here at the gates, and then the image to the right is the timber extension that's been added to it. Sustainable construction, and the heat pump source then to the rear. But also in the re-roofing of the lodge, the community of bats were encouraged to stay. There was a specially designed vent in the roof space, and the bats are still able to come and go from that lodge. The deers come up to the back of the building, and I suppose the design of the actual extension actually gives you views towards the forest itself. So this building will be used to talk to that community about how to design and work with nature. You give me the eye, are you? Yes. Okay, I'm nearly there. And the glass house, rather than turning it into a coffee shop, it has been restored. It will become the place for propagating new plants in the park. Just want to give you one last project. This is an engagement project in Clonakilty. It was about piloting a rainwater garden for the city. It's about trying to enhance the quality of water running back into the sea. And this is the pilot that was delivered by Cork County Council. Team here built these rainwater gardens, and they put on an exhibition about what the purpose of this is with the community, so that they understand. A lovely image for you to finish with. Thank you very much.